Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm Petter, and this is James.
Hello.
And today we're talking about Volume 8 of A Bride's Story. The story about Anis and Shireen finishes off, at least for the time being, in the first chapter of this volume. Then we got a brief little side story about a gazelle, and then the story returns to Amir's and Karluk's town, where the people are working together to restore the town after the recent battle. We focus a lot on Pariya as she's forced to redo all of the embroidery that she had lost in the fires or in the destruction from the Badan and Halgal attack. And then Pariya's intended, Umar, as well as his father, come to assist with the rebuilding of the town, which causes quite a bit of stress for Pariya. And amidst all this mess and uncertainties, the volume ends with Pariya becoming friends with a girl named Kamola. It feels good to be back with Amir and those guys in their town and seeing, finally getting to see what's going down there after the attack. So I'm very happy about that.
It's good just to get Pariya again, you know. It's
oh yes,
like, come on, inject that into my veins.
And getting all this focus on her feels so good. So yeah, I guess without further ado, let's start talking about Pariya. Her home, as we said, it was destroyed in the recent attack of the town, along with all of the cloth and the embroidery that she'd made for her married life. But the Togenash family was invited to live with the Ahon family until their home was rebuilt. So that's where they're at right now, and that is very nice.
Yeah.
And obviously through that, thanks to that, we are getting more time. I guess it's easier for the story to focus on Pariya along with like Amir and those guys. So it's very fun.
Right.
Like I especially enjoyed. I think there were two instances where the little kid, the boy in the Ahon family, like snuck into the room where Pariya was. Like those little things
just
were
great comedic timing.
Very funny, yeah.
You know, I can't really blame Pariya for feeling the way she does. I mean, obviously it's more of a pessimistic outlook on her life, but you know, basically saying like everything will go wrong. This has all happened to me. Of course it would. It's hard not to have those kind of feelings when you're in kind of the moment of despair. Everything's lost and things like that. Yeah. So she's rather relatable to certain personalities, I'd say. I mean, some personalities, like maybe they still have that feeling, but you know, kind of shrug it off. I mean, I feel like Amir would maybe be that way.
Fair, right? But I do still think you're right, though. It is relatable to a lot of us. I think a lot of people probably do feel very similar to that at, you know, a couple points in their lives.
Yeah, but it's nice that now she has this. Well, I shouldn't say now, but she has the support of Amir and the Ahon family.
Yeah.
All those wonderful women that want to help her improve.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And get her back on her feet, get her ready for her future wedding day.
Yay. Yeah, and as we've known, I think ever since Pariya's introduction, she is a savant at baking bread. But she's also supposedly experienced with working with ceramics, which I think is nice. As someone pointed out in the book, dough and clay are somewhat similar. You
I guess so.
You shape them and then you put them in an oven and then they're done.
Yeah,
but
I guess that's the comparison. Maybe not the actual working.
No, maybe
the clay
not.
And the dough, maybe not. But you know, I'm not going to pick it. But yeah, you know, and it's interesting that we didn't really know what her father did. At least I don't think we did.
Right.
Before this, but obviously he must work with ceramics, and it was really cute because not only did we get one page, one kind of panel of her working with clay as a young baby.
Yeah.
Later on in the volume, you kind of see this full page spread of all her little creations as a child. And
yeah.
That was nice to see, and obviously the mother is not too keen, maybe a little worried about that, at least based on her comments and then that spread page. And obviously it's just the times
Hmm.
But I would hope that she would kind of carry on that talent for not just bread making, but also clay working. Maybe
Yeah.
if she has developed it. I mean, clearly the baby stuff was, amateur.
Yeah.
This looked like a baby did it.
Right.
Um, but it would be cool to see if that's something she would want to do. That she'd be able to continue doing that if she pleased. But who knows?
Hmm.
Again, it's a different culture, so maybe this is just not possible. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. But still, it's nice. And I get, to be fair, we also don't know, yeah, kind of where, like, or how skilled she is at clay work these days.
I mean, at the very least, she's very good at shaping and baking bread. So
Precisely. And if that's any
that's
type of indication.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, but she is not so good with the needlework.
Or at least she didn't have the patience to do
Right.
it.
She lacked the patience and the
Hmm.
motivation, I guess, like the right type of
Yeah,
motivation, I think.
definitely,
And
definitely.
that she definitely showed improvement in that throughout this volume, when she got some help from her friends.
Yeah. Well, and her motivation ends up being implied that she's thinking of her future suitor.
Yes, which is so cute.
Yeah, very very cute. But I like how that's able to give her just the right amount of motivations. But it's not. You may have said this already, but it's not just him that is her motivation. It also kind of becomes grandma and the rest of the Aon family that kind of encourage her
Mm,
to keep trying, keep doing hard things, and she kind of starts motivating herself because she finds satisfaction. That chapter with her creating the comb holder, I thought was very nice to see her progress from being impatient to seeing the fruits of her labor, you know, not giving up, and then at the very end saying, "Maybe I'll do something a little bigger next time." And
yeah.
it's just that it's such a it was so nice to see just the spark of creativity and satisfaction
Right.
light up in her.
I love it. Yeah, that was only the beginning. And like, yeah, a small beginning, but a beginning nonetheless. And now she's gotten the ball rolling and like she's probably making progress. Obviously, we don't know where she's at or whatever. And there is obviously the concern about this taking a long time. She might have to be at this for 4 years or so.
Mm, yeah,
And we still don't know exactly what's up with like how that's gonna play out, I guess. But she's working for it.
yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. Does she have to do it all herself, or is she allowed to get some help from other people to create her dowry?
I'm not entirely sure,
Uh huh.
but I think she may be able to get a bit of help.
Hmm.
I still expect she will probably have to do most of it herself, though.
Yeah. I assume. I mean, probably because just everyone else has their whole lives to live. They can't just drop everything and start working on that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, not right now.
But I think they are helping her, in bits and pieces where they can, and that will speed up the process a little bit. Otherwise, yeah, it would just be 4 years if it was her just doing it, I think.
Precisely. But she did apologize to Umar for what she did the last time they met in the
Yes,
previous,
very
or
good,
in one of the
very
previous
good.
volumes, whichever one it was. So that was good. That was big of her, strong of her.
Yeah,
But obviously, things between them are not necessarily great currently, or at least not from her perspective. I don't know. It's a bit unclear. And what
well, obviously she's overthinking things.
for sure she is. Yeah.
I think that where they left off at the apology was good, and honestly, I think that Umar still thinks very highly of her, but maybe that's just me speculating.
No, I do think so as well.
I guess getting to kind of the conflict of this current moment in the arc, she has this nightmare, right?
Hmm.
Nightmare of Umar being turned off or put off by her true personality, and she's able to, eventually put that off as a nightmare. But
Mhm.
then she really gets into her element while do the irrigation thing, which by the way was really great to see. I mean,
Yeah.
kind of haven't really seen her just be proactive, go getter, roll up her sleeves and get to work
True.
throughout this
Yeah.
story.
Like most of the times when she's tried to, she's usually been stopped before she's able to really kind of get any momentum with it.
Yeah.
But here, yeah, we did get to see
Uh-huh.
that. That was nice.
Yeah, so it was really really refreshing to see that. But obviously that's where the touchy part comes because Umar happens to see that as well.
Hmm.
And that leads to her kind of worrying that her nightmare is going to come true, and then wanting to change herself. Which there's something wrong with wanting to change yourself, of course, but I don't know because I do believe change is fine. Like change is good,
Mm.
but also we don't necessarily need to change ourselves to be like somebody else or not be true to ourselves. Um, I don't know. I mean, I guess each
Mm.
person can be different, but in my opinion, I think that the more that Pariya accepts herself, the happier she'll be, and all the other things will start coming together.
Right. She just needs to get over this current hurdle, I guess, in order to probably be able to achieve something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if she's kind of been through trauma in the past where things have been going pretty well with some guy until she showed her real personality, and that kind of caused the whole wedding, like all the wedding plans to just be called off and stuff like that. Like I don't know for sure if something that like that's happened, but I wouldn't be surprised if she's been through something akin to that, and that's kind of scarred her.
Maybe.
The trauma that's surfacing here is kind of based on all of that.
Yeah. We kind of got that in the beginning of this volume where
Yeah.
we see her struggles with trying to, or her parents struggling to find her someone to marry her. And there's like actually 3 panels where you could see her father covering her mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess it's all the same person, but still, like there is one instance where maybe there was a suitor, but she said something like, "Who wears that colors in fall?" or I don't know. She says something that obviously offended them, and they left. So maybe we could see that more, but I have a feeling that that'll be left in the past, and
Oh
maybe
yeah.
she'll maybe she'll just bring up, yeah, I screwed up other times, or that's kind of put me in bad position with other people.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I don't know if we'll specifically get some sort of a story or flashback
Yeah, and
to a moment
to
like
be
that.
clear, I don't necessarily think so either. I just think,
Uh,
I guess it's easy to imagine that she's been through those types of scenarios in her past, and that obviously by having those sorts of experiences, well, her having these types of worries about showing her uncensored self, I can see it very easily, and like it makes a lot of sense.
hmm
But speaking of her trying to change herself, as you were onto a bit earlier, she started studying
hmm
Kamoa, um, this other girl in the town, who is around Pariya's age, a little bit younger even, according to the afterword.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but this girl has basically the opposite reputation compared to Pariya, and that's why she wants to study her and kind of her mannerisms in hopes to well, become more like her, so that Umar would like her better.
Yeah.
Uh,
The perfect girl, or the ideal girl as deemed by Pariya and seemingly the rest of the village.
yeah.
Yeah, she does everything that, or at least that would be deemed great qualities in a wife, or a potential wife.
Hmm.
And it was kind of humbling in a way for Pariya to see her great qualities and be like, yeah, I could do all that, and then just feel dejected and hide it under her covers,
Yeah.
like a potato bug or whatever they called it.
Right. Oh.
But it was also a great moment when Kamala basically reversed it and
Precisely.
was like, hey, there are things about you that I wish I was like.
Hmm.
I wish I could speak my mind. And I think that's what's going to help Pariya in the end realize that I have some great qualities that I don't want to lose.
Precisely. I definitely think so. It's a bit of the, well,
Grass is always greener,
no,
maybe.
I was gonna
Oh,
say, well, I think Pariya gets the self confidence here from Kamola that she needs, and that she has needed probably for a while, but especially in this instance here, it's what she really needs, and I think that's great for her, and she absolutely deserves it. I wonder to what extent Kamola is going to stay in the story. I don't expect her role to be super big, but she'll probably stick around as a minor character. I expect, and I think it would be nice to see now as Kamola and Pariya have become friends, or they are becoming friends, how they will learn from each other. Obviously, I don't think Pariya is in need of a massive makeover or anything like that, but little things here and there, I'm sure she could learn from Kamola, and vice versa. Maybe Kamola is the one who has more to learn from Pariya even.
yeah. I mean, I think the fact that the book itself mentions Pariya added a new person to a new friend to her repertoire.
Yeah.
um, I think that indicates Kamala is not, a one and done type thing. I think
Hmm.
we'll see more of her. I mean, there's always the potential that she could be a bride for future focus.
Oh
Who
yeah.
knows? But
Oh right.
I'm not placing any money on it. But I do think that for this arc, that she will be an important play an important part in Padia's growth and understanding. And I think you make a great point that uh, Kamala herself will also grow
Mm.
and I mean I don't know, like, grow more than Padia, but although Kamala does seem to be more of, well, I was about to say more teachable, but you know what, Padia had some great moments in this volume where she thought she couldn't do something, but she ends up being able to do it. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past Padia, you know,
Yeah.
uh, changing in certain ways. Now, I don't mean to say that her personality would be completely different, but maybe that she learns to be a little bit more patient, a little bit more kind, and because of that, have more confidence in herself and know when is the right time to speak her mind. And maybe there will be a significant moment in the next chapter. I guess I'm going into predictions here, so sorry.
All good.
Where her strong personality and speaking her mind, almost a leadership type quality, will come into play.
Ooh.
Maybe something happens to the irrigation, or you know, they they need someone to step step up, or I don't know. But anyway, that's just my speculation. But I think
Fun.
Kamala will be there um, to help uh, push that, I guess, in a way.
Nice. Yeah, that could be nice. Do you have anything more on Pariya here?
Yeah. So when the book was introducing Kamala, her mother says, "If I had a daughter like that, it'd be easy to get her married," or something along
Yeah.
those lines.
Hmm.
That's like, what a rude thing to
I
say,
know.
even even in jesting, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, I said this about her mother earlier. It's a different time period, different focus, you know, different priorities. But man, that is just not something that a child wants to hear their parents say.
Yeah, yeah.
And even if it's true, even if you know, we know that yes, Kamala has a lot of suitors and it's been more difficult for Pariya, but that's just not, Mom. That's just not something you need to worry about, or need to even gripe about.
Yeah.
It's anyway. I mean, it's just different, and I guess I could appreciate Mori for having that in there and kind of having that mindset that nowadays. I mean, maybe there's older generations who still do that, but nowadays I feel like you just people aren't as blunt or cold-hearted, maybe like that.
Right. Yeah. Probably not. Yeah. For the most part, not. But yeah. No. I also appreciate. I mean, I appreciate it for being in the manga. Also for for us to feel a little bit extra for Pariya. Obviously, we already are. We've been feeling for Pariya since she was introduced into the story. But I'll take anything that comes in terms of that. I think it's fun to read about a character who's suffering, but with the hope that they will stop suffering, and I have faith that this is that type of a story, or this is that type of an arc for Pariya here. So I'm enjoying it very much.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I have on Pariya and Kamala.
Great. Then I just have a final little thing on Pariya, and not necessarily story related, but and what I'm about to say, I'm absolutely not saying it's for sure the case, but while reading through this volume in particular and combining it with obviously the knowledge that I have of Pariya's character from the previous volumes as well, I'm picking up on some symptoms on ADHD from her.
Oh yeah?
If she does have ADHD, I think it would explain a lot of things, like why she's often feeling so uneasy, why she talks so much, her poor impulse control, poor concentration, poor attention span, why she's so easily stressed and easily distracted, and why she doesn't tend to think things through before acting sometimes. I think those types of symptoms could correspond with an ADHD diagnosis. Obviously, that diagnosis did not exist at this point in time, but I'm just trying to think, like, with a modern mindset, like if she lived today, I wouldn't be surprised if a person like her would be diagnosed with ADHD. And if that is the case, then she definitely has difficulties with a lot of these things that are absolutely she can improve and whatnot, but they are kind of inherent difficulties that she in some ways can't do a whole lot about. But obviously, yeah, I'm not saying she can't improve. She absolutely can, but it is a lot harder to make those types of improvements, I think, if that is the case. But yeah, again, not saying it's for sure the case at all, but just wanted to point it out.
Yeah. I don't know. I never feel comfortable saying whether or not someone has like autism or ADHD or things like that. Not that saying you can't, just like me personally. Unless the author comes out and says it.
Fair. I mean, I would never do it on a real person. I'll make that clear.
Yeah.
But I think with fictional characters, I think that type of speculation is fine personally. But I get your I get your point as well.
Yeah.
And I guess in my case, I think it's interesting to me, maybe a little extra because I'm studying these types of stuff in school
That's
currently.
What I was trying to imply.
And I'm I've been working in that field for a while as well. So it does interest me. But yeah, we can leave that for now. Next character is Umar. Let's talk about him a bit. We learned that he and his father used to run a trading post, and that was where Umar learned how to calculate with an abacus.
An abacus? Did you say an abacus?
Is this some type of reference that I'm not familiar with?
Oh, it's from the book.
Oh.
they were like, oh my gosh, you can use the abacus.
Yeah.
What?
For some reason,
They
I don't know why.
love
For
it.
some reason, I thought you were like quoting SpongeBob or something like that I haven't seen, but that everybody else has seen.
Maybe there's something in the recesses of my mind that was referencing something, but no, I was referencing the book.
Nice, but yeah, everyone was very very into that. So that was
Oh
great.
yeah. Can you tell how much money I make? Bruh.
But yeah, he also knows how to write. He's a well-educated man.
I mean, he's a catch. Like,
Oh yes.
dang, put a ring on whatever they do. Put a ring on that.
Yeah, and this boy is so in love, I think, in this girl.
Oh,
I think.
wow.
I mean, there were several signs I thought in this volume that at least gave me that idea. First, there was the excitement from him when his dad suggested they go help in the town. He looked very visibly, clearly excited to go and do that, which I thought was very, very sweet. And then when he saw Pariya for the first time in a while, for him, like from his point of view, it looked like she was glowing, like she was shining. And he even he even said that. And I think those are signs that he is smitten.
That, you know what? That's fair. I don't know if I'm all the way unsmitten. Oh, although I do think he, unlike what Patti is thinking, I do think he is interested in her, and I think he's eager to see where it goes, and I think he does like her. I don't know if he's at the smitten point yet, but I will say he is such a great kid.
Oh yeah.
Different personality than Karluk, but it kind of reminds me of Karluk and just being, wanting to be useful, looking for the best ways to help. And yeah, I mean, I think that, or I guess my biggest hope is that he's willing to accept the abrasive side of Pariya, and I honestly think in the end the twist, quote unquote, or there's no one quoted that. What am I saying? The twist of it all is that he's gonna be like, that's hot, or no, I'm not gonna say that, but he's gonna really admire that side of her.
Yes. Yes.
And I think she'll be quite shocked, but then eventually pleased by that.
Definitely, I think so for sure as well. But there was one part though, or well, I guess first I'll briefly lift up the part where the wagon stopped over where the women and the children were working, and he was sitting on the wagon, and he saw Pariya and she saw him, and she was freaking out, but he just sat there in silence, and then the wagon went away. He just sat there in silence, did nothing, said nothing.
He was awestruck. He could not put into words the beauty that he beheld.
I love that that way of seeing it. Okay, yeah. So, but yeah, obviously that's a minor thing though. But there was the other. I think it was in the same conversation where Pariya apologized, but later on in that one, he seemed quite taken aback by how long it would take for Pariya to redo all of the embroidery.
Yeah.
And I guess that part specifically, I had a bit of a hard time reading exactly.
Right.
Obviously, I do agree with you. Like at the end of the day, I think he does like her, and he does like the real her. But the fact that it might take up to 4 years for them to get married, he didn't seem to like that. At least not his spontaneous reaction was not great, I think, for that. But yeah, I think it's not so much that he doesn't want to wait for her, but more that he just didn't expect it to be that long, perhaps.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there is that little worry that maybe 4 years he's like, oh, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like they don't really know each other. They've only met once. or at least formally. And maybe he's just wanting to get the engagement set and done.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just trying to get ahead in life in that way, or be on track. But deep down, I do hope that he's just very invested in Pariya and wants to be married sooner rather than later.
Right.
To her.
Precisely.
But you never know, and you can't blame someone for not necessarily being smitten yet.
No, for sure.
In this situation, but crazier things have happened in manga. Let's be honest.
That is true. But anything more on Umar?
No, that's all I got.
Splendid. Then next, let's talk a bit about Amir.
Oh, I love Amir.
I know you do. Do you love her even a little bit more now that you know that she sings whenever she does stitching alone?
I mean, I think that's a great quality. I wish. I mean, we've seen her sing in the manga before, but
yeah,
I would love to see more of it.
For sure. And yeah, it made a lot of sense. Like, I wasn't surprised to learn that she sings when she stitches, but it was nice to get that detail. But she and Karluk went out on a trip with their horses.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, in general, I think that trip was an excellent bonding moment for the two of them.
Oh, yes. Nice little date.
Very nice. And now Amir will teach Karluk how to use a bow and arrow so that they can go hunting together in the future.
And this was Karluk who asked for this.
Precisely, that was his request. But Amir was very eager to start. Yeah.
Yes. very, very much. I mean, they're quickly becoming a power couple, if you will.
For sure.
They just are firing on all cylinders. It's, oh gosh. The only thing not firing is going to take some time. All right. So anyway,
nice.
Have you been pricked by a hedgehog? Time to try it. Thought that was funny.
Yeah, that was great. Oh, they're great. They are such a unique couple.
Yeah, they really are.
And like, I guess a big part of that is the age gap, but like, it's funny how obviously it's thanks to the relationship being so, pure and innocent. It's thanks to that it works.
Yeah.
Otherwise it would be really not great.
No.
But it works.
Amir is such a unique woman.
Yeah.
Compared to the other women around them, and that's what makes this relationship so, I guess, ideal and fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Amir's unique free spirit that is willing to accept Karluk for who he is right now.
Yeah, it's nice, and I continue to be excited to see what's to come for them.
I imagine the story won't ever get there, but it would be really nice to see what their life would be like when they're both ready to have children.
Yeah.
Or I guess when Karluk's ready to have children.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But speaking about like age and I guess Amir's marriage at the age of 20, Pariya was worried that she would have to wait a long time, 4 years. I think it was very reassuring to have the 20-year-old bride telling Pariya that she'll be fine if she needs to wait. It was just a nice touch. And there's kind of like an understanding among everybody in that room. There's like, well, if Amir says it, then it surely would be okay for you, Pariya.
Yeah.
I don't think Amir meant that in any sort of woe is me kind of way. Of course not, but it's definitely trying to take her experience and reassure Pariya that it would work out in the end, whether or not it is meant to be with Umar or not.
Right. No, it definitely has meaning coming from her, more so than it would from someone who married at age 12.
Yeah, exactly. I have one other thing the mirror.
Yeah.
And it could be just me forcing it.
Uh-huh.
That Gazelle chapter, was it symbolic of her escaping the control of her father, which was uh I forget what kind of tiger, but the tiger.
Oh. Oh, like it represents her as the gazelle and her father as the tiger?
Uh-huh.
Huh.
Yeah, and how they kind of leave it behind. And in her afterwards, I didn't think about this till now. In her afterwards, she says that tiger is not extinct, and of course the father is no longer with them.
Hmm.
But the gazelle were able to escape. So I don't know, like maybe that's just a little sign, because the other reason why I bring that up is the gazelle at the end catches the eye of Amir,
Yeah.
and so there's that little bit of connection there. So I just thought maybe this is another one of those symbolic animal representations.
Right.
The wolves, we kind of speculated maybe that was
Yeah.
Amir and her brother or the tribe or whatever.
Right.
And so maybe the gazelle was another one of those.
I like that.
Things.
Obviously hard to confirm it, but I really like that.
Yeah. Again, it's just, I could be stretching it here, but yeah, I appreciate showing the wildlife, but also I would appreciate it more if there was that meaning behind it.
Definitely. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I enjoyed that brief little side chapter for just for what it seemed to be to me initially.
Fair,
but
fair.
but with this like idea added onto it, I think it's even more interesting. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. That's all I have on Amir.
Same here. Then let's move on and talk a bit about her brother Azel, who has now become the new leader of the Haldal clan, without any disputes,
Yeah.
seemingly.
I was like, whatever, man. I'm too tired. Do whatever you want.
Right. Yeah. And it seems like the lands that they have access to at the moment are kind of the front line in a way. Like they're likely to be reached by the Russians in the spring or around there, like at some point after winter.
Yeah.
Supposedly. So that in a sense they're currently, well, in a way guarding the Ahon town from the Russians, because they are sort of supposedly like kind of in between the Russians and the Ahon town. And it seems like the elders in the Ahon town have faith in Azel as a good and dependable person, which I think could open up some doors for, well, I guess some kind of cooperation in the future.
Yeah. They mentioned that they're thinking about sending others to check on the Hogall in case they try to partner with the Russians. But that, like you said at the very end of the chapter, like I find it hard to believe that those men would side with them.
Precisely.
And I agree with them. I think they've been very vehement against their against siding with the Russians, and at the very least want to be independent.
Yeah.
Right now, Azel's main focus: survive the winter, take care of all this. Make sure our livestock are good, we have food, survive the winter.
Yeah.
And I think that will definitely happen.
For sure. And I mean, we got to see how much Azel hated the Badan clan. Like,
yeah,
I reckon the Russians are even worse than the Badan. So yeah, there's no way he's gonna want to side with them. Yeah, no way.
Yeah, no, Azel continues to be I mean, it had very little in this volume, but he continues to be a character I'm looking forward to following.
Yay. And that's all on him?
Yeah.
Then let's hop to the first chapter of this volume for a bit and talk about Anis.
Okay.
After the previous volume, I was personally already under the impression that Anis and Shireen's relationship was a romantic one. And I think this extra chapter that we got, or however you want to see it, extra chapter or last chapter of this part of her life or whatever, I think this chapter, well, it made me feel that way even more than I already did. I think the way that Anis watches Shireen eat, and the way, or like the moment when Anis was teaching Shireen to play that instrument, and
Yeah, that battle specifically was
that
like, oh my goodness.
that was a big indicator. Also the way that they both think about each other and want to spend time with one another.
Yeah.
And the way Mori illustrates them together a lot of the time. All of those things.
To me, it still feels very borderline, very, very close friendship type situation. But I think me saying that, I think she's definitely pushing the romantic side of it very much, without more or less, saying, and then they, have sexual intercourse. You know what I mean? Like it's basically going as far as she can without doing that. And I don't know. Like I'm not trying to say one way or the other. I'm just, I guess, trying to be. What am I trying to say here? I guess I don't know. I don't know, but particularly when it comes to this culture, was that kind of relationship even acceptable?
I don't think it was or is.
Well, yeah, now no, it's unfortunately it's not nowadays. But that time, particularly right in front of your husband, I don't know. I mean, there's that final page where she says, "I love you" to Shireen. Before that, she says, "I love you" to her husband.
Yeah.
Which, good. It was almost kind of like a softball. "I love you, husband," but I love Shireen.
Yeah.
It's okay. I said I love you first, so it's all good. So, but definitely that page, you could take it as friendship type love, of course. You love your friends. I think in culture. I mean, I'm not saying that we should go tell everybody that we love them, per se, but I think we could stand to use the word love a little bit more.
Sure.
But at the same time, it does very much feel like that was a more romantic love than anything.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I do think so.
I'm digressing into, I guess, points I don't know what I'm trying to say.
All good. I know something that I want to say.
Okay.
And it's about her husband, or their husband. I guess I should call it.
Oh yes, it's their husband.
I think as I said, I am under the impression that the love that exists between Anis and Shireen is romantic, and obviously to each their own. But I am under that impression, and so it's funny to me that I read them that way, but I read him as still oblivious to their relationship being romantic.
Oh, really?
Because he compared Anis's and Shireen's relationship to his friendships that he has with like his guy friends, probably.
Mm-hmm.
He compared it to that, which makes it seem to me like that he doesn't understand quite what his wives are up to. So I just think that's a little bit funny.
Oh, so wait, okay, hold on. So when you say what they're up to,
well.
So you're thinking
with
they're like
with their emotions, with their
they're
feelings.
really getting to know each other. They like there's not a spot they don't know. Kind of a thing.
It wouldn't surprise me if that was the case.
Wow. I mean, based on the previous volume and in this chapter, I made it. Yeah, I don't blame you for thinking that at all.
Yeah, but yeah. That's all I had to say about Anis's story here.
Yeah, I was trying to say this throughout the thing, but with also tying your point in, but I failed it. Basically, I appreciate how this chapter, puts a bow on everything, and shows that she is truly happy now, or truly satisfied, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And how she's able to convey her happiness through words, and express her love for her husband and avowed sister. So it's it was nice to have that.
I absolutely agree. Was beautiful.
By the way, there's a moment in that chapter where Anis gets Shireen to eat more, and there's like hearts around her, which is
Yes.
one of those indications. However, there's there's another one, a similar moment with Amir showing Karluk the braids that she did on the horse.
Oh.
And she has that heart, the same kind of heart symbol.
Oh, really?
Almost implying cuteness, like how she thinks it's really cute on the horse.
Mm.
And so it's okay. So is that? So when do we use these hearts? Because they're the exact same hearts.
Right.
So anyway, it doesn't matter in the end. But really, kind of funny comparisons there.
Yeah. Well, do you have any other characters you want to bring up?
Just very briefly, last Tileke, is that how we're pronouncing it? That's how I'm saying it, at least.
Yeah.
She's so sweet and talented. I mean, obviously she has this obsession with hawks, and maybe that'll be the gripe, her mother's future gripe. I have no idea, but I think she'll be a wonderful woman and future mother. But she's just so talented, able to do all that needlework, and I like how she encourages Pariya, and she's like, make a bird. It's more fun that way.
Yeah.
She's just in a way kind of like Pariya in speaking her mind, and speaking her mind and telling it like it is. Don't know if they're exactly alike. I think they both have their strengths, but anyway,
for sure,
very sweet. And again, it would be nice in the future to have like a huge time skip and show Tileke as a bride one day. But
yeah, honestly, I feel like the reasons for a time skip are becoming more and more. Right. I'm finding more and more reasons to justify a time skip, and yeah, she is definitely one of them.
Yeah, I agree. That's it.
Lovely. Then let's head on into predictions, and I have one somewhat big question, I suppose, to pose for the next volume. Do we think there will be a wedding in the next volume?
No.
No.
Next question. I don't. I think not every bride needs to be wed in this story. I think that with Pariya, it'll be one of, this is gonna take some time. Are you okay with that? He's like, babe, doesn't matter. I can wait till the end of the world. I'll always love you. Okay, it won't be like that.
Yeah.
But they'll have a really good moment and show that they want to wait for each other.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts on that.
And they actually match my thoughts pretty well. I think. Well, and it's the whole embroidery thing that's kind of making it so that they can't. I think if the embroidery thing wasn't an issue,
right?
I think there would have been very good chances that they would get married next volume, but now, not so much. I'm not expecting a time skip here now, like a 4-year time skip for that. I do not think that.
I mean, hey, I wouldn't be opposed to it per se, but I don't know. I'm with you. I don't think that's happening yet either.
Yeah. But I do think, well, I was initially thinking that, well, obviously before the embroidery thing was brought up as an obstacle, I did think that her wedding would be something that could come up relatively soon in the story, but not so much anymore. But with Umar and his dad helping to rebuild and spending time in the town, I think the chances are pretty high that they may stick around in the town after the rebuilding is complete, because I feel like they're forming attachments to the town and to the townsfolk.
Oh yeah.
During this whole
Absolutely.
process, and I'm hoping that thanks to those attachments, they will want to stick around afterwards, so they will be able to stay. And I think in a way, Pariya and Umar will become like boyfriend and girlfriend. Like, unmarried, but still
Oh.
like they know that they will have each other. I'm hoping for something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That'd be great.
But the Ahon town has cannons now,
True. True.
and I think the fact that that was pointed out, and like the fact that they have the cannons that used to belong to the Badang clan, I think means they're going to use them in the future. Um, it's almost a literal Chekhov's gun, or Chekhov's cannon.
Ha.
But yeah, just a general prediction that yeah, those cannons will be used at some point,
Mm,
probably against the Russians.
I think that's a fair point. I mean, for sure it'll be a line of defense for them.
Yeah.
No doubt. So going back to Pariya, I think we'll see in the next few chapters her grow more confident as her friendship with Kamala grows. I think Kamala and Amir will be great supports for her. And yeah, and I think when you introduce a character like Kamala, you can't just have them disappear from the story. So I think she'll be around for a few more chapters.
Yeah.
Or at least will not just fade into the background forever.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this is more of a hope, but I hope by the end of this next volume, if it's the end of this Pariya arc, or maybe it's going to be another continuing one, I don't know. But if the next volume is the end of the Pariya arc, I hope she starts seeing more of the positives in her life. How she's great with bread, she can do needlework. Her personality is not necessarily a bad thing. And there are good things about it. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
In the end, and that as well that Umar will express that he doesn't mind her aggressive side.
Yes.
In fact, actually appreciates that.
Precisely. That is also something that I expect to see in the next volume.
Yeah.
So that we, we're not going to get closure in terms of a wedding, but we are going to get closure in terms of their feelings for each other, or at least their. Yeah, well, I guess we don't know exactly the level of feelings that exist, but at least that they like each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is going to be established.
That they're willing to make this work, or willing to wait, or whatever.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
Lastly, for me is, I think in a future volume, depending on how quick she'll fast forward through winter, I think we'll see somebody check on that Hagal clan. I don't know if they'd send Karluk to do that, per se. Maybe a little dangerous for 12, 13-year-old at that point.
Right.
But it would be nice to have Amir go there to visit.
Definitely. I think it makes a lot of sense to send her.
Yeah, maybe there'll be a group of people in order to protect Karluk and Amir.
Yeah.
But regardless, I hope that we do see that check, and that we get to see more of the Hagal clan, and also, of course, Azel.
Yes, absolutely.
And his family. I assume he has a family. I mean, he's a grown man.
Azel, yeah.
Surely he has a wife.
Precisely.
So and maybe some kids around. I don't know. I would like to see what his family life is like.
For sure. I've also had those thoughts. It would be nice to see. Of course, his sister didn't, she was a late bloomer in terms of marriage. So maybe he is too, but most likely he isn't. Most likely, as most people in this culture, he did marry somewhat young and ought to be married at this point. So yeah.
Yeah.
Would love to see that.
I agree. That's it for me.
Great. I also am out of predictions, but I want to point out lastly that in the afterwards of this volume, Mori told us that she has finally visited the part of the world where where a lot of the manga takes place. She had never been there prior to starting writing the manga, but now she has been there, which has me kind of excited for the future of the manga now because I think it's kind of huge that she has actually been there and has like first-hand experience, of the locations, of the culture, so that she can depict it possibly even more faithfully than she already has been doing. So I'm very stoked to read on now.
Yeah, indeed. Good for her. I mean,
Yeah.
this was years ago, but good for her that she was able to do that. I love the discrepancy in the places she went to. You know, Uzbekistan is, you know, probably has some modern areas, of course, but still has a bit of its history there. But then, you know, Kazakhstan is just has the, you know, the huge city.
Yeah.
Boom, you know, all that oil money.
Precisely.
I appreciate that reaction to it all.
Absolutely. Yeah, her afterwards are always great.
It's also surprising how big it is. The country is how big the
Yeah.
country is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, aside from the city, it's just a lot of empty plains, I imagine.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Stoked to read volume 9.
Indeed. Were you not entertained with the Pariya volume? This is the volume that we've been waiting for.
It was,
you know,
and it delivered. I was so glad to see all this focus on her, and supposedly,
yeah,
you know, the same amount in the next one. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I agree. I'm super excited for the next volume because it just feels like we're gonna get a lot of great stuff, even more great stuff for her. And yeah, fantastic. Yeah, still really liking the series.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that I was recently thinking, could they ever animate this? I mean,
Oh yeah.
Volume 7 aside, with all the nudity, they could probably do like a bunch of steam, I suppose. But
They could.
in order to get it, you know, a regular public television airing or whatever.
Yeah.
There's just so much detail in these drawings.
Yeah, it would be really hard to match that.
There's a lot of detail in, you know, Vinland Saga and some of the buildings, of course, but you know, the clothes are just so detailed along with the buildings that, yeah, I don't know. I almost feel like maybe an animation team, unless they like went full all in, wouldn't be able to do it justice.
That's my thinking too. I think, yeah, like all of the patterns and those types of things would probably not be captured as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we would be able to get, you know, colors, movements, voices, sounds, you know, music.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are things that I would absolutely watch an anime adaptation of this for. Even though, like, I would pretty much feel right off the bat that, or kind of know instinctively, like that, or kind of. Well, basically, my expectations would be low in terms of expectations for the patterns. But other than that, I think it could still be worth the while. That said, though, I don't expect them to make one.
No.
Sadly.
Yeah. There may be a little too many things going against it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's fun to think about.
Yeah, it's fun to think about. It would be nice one day.
Absolutely.
Just to have more people potentially read her work.
Yeah. I really hope more people will, because this is such a nice and good manga, and so well done. So much effort put into it, both in terms of art, story, research. Like, oh, yes. So good.
It's a fun way to view a different culture.
It is.
At least, you know, I feel like it's as accurate as it can be.
Right, and supposedly it may even, you know, start becoming even more accurate from here on out. So
yeah, there you go.
Can't wait for that. But I suppose that's all for this week.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Then, if you enjoy our podcast, please share it with your friends. You'll find links to our social media in the description, and you can support us by rating our show on the podcast platforms and subscribing to our channel Umami Manga on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 9. Bye-bye!
See you later. I mean, it's not like I'm, you know, grabbing a baby bottle and sucking from it. And even then, it's none of your business.